Welcome back to the Virtuosos. It's Damon here. The other two, they gave up. They got a low management day today. So I figured I'd come in here and talk about the new Captain America movie. Now, at the time of this recording, the movie's been out for a week now. I'm going to kind of do this video a little bit differently. I am going to give y'all a spoiler-free and a spoiler kind of, per se, of the movie. But this is mainly talking about the future of the MCU based off of this movie. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So my spoiler-free review of this movie. This movie definitely did feel like a, rewatch. If you watch the Hulk movie from 2008, movie kind of feels like a spinoff of it, at points. So I'm not going to say you need to watch the 2008 Hulk movie, but, most of the references comes from that movie. I think all the characters did their job in this movie. Wasn't no character to kind of slacking or lacking behind. The cameo was good. Nothing too crazy. This felt like a grounded MCU movie, and you gotta appreciate stuff like that. Kind of rare that we get that nowadays. We got the show so far, but they haven't capitalized off the show. So I feel like this is the first project that they've capitalized off a Disney Plus show with the Winter Soldier and Falcon. They kind of capitalized off it with this movie. So the movie, in my opinion, I came in with low expectations, and I feel like that kind of made me appreciate the movie a little bit more. So I would say that the movie wasn't, not too high, not too low. Just a solid movie. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably say 6.5, like a real good 7 out of 10. That's probably what I would rank it at. If I had to rewatch it and gave the same, I'd probably give it the same ranking. Maybe some things I would appreciate more, but in my opinion, they did their thing. So now we got the spoiler part. I gave y'all the spoiler free. I definitely think that, by the way, I'm starting, so it's your chance. I do believe that the MCU have done a good job since they've created movies in making a villain who isn't a physical threat a powerful threat. They had a really good villain in this movie who he didn't lay a hand on anybody. He did not touch, he didn't fight nobody. And he was able to mind control. He was able to, infiltrate the White House basically and kind of mess up, President Ross and make him outburst into the Hulk. So I think that was done excellent. Shout out to them for that. They did that with Zemo. Obviously Zemo's was a little bit, higher tier, but they've done good so far with villains who, again, they aren't laying a finger on anybody, and they are still good villains. So I will give them credit for that. Another thing about the movie that I liked was, I like the casting. I like the supporting cast in this. Isaiah Bradley's kind of, and I hate to bring this up, but you compare it to Steve Rogers and Bucky, and how Bucky did these worst things. He did worse. Bucky did way worse than what Isaiah Bradley did in this movie, and he's out and about. So you kind of see the dynamic of, okay, yeah, Falcon, Sam Wilson is really not Steve Rogers. He doesn't have that pull. He's not that popular per se. He doesn't have that aura, I guess you could say, to kind of help Isaiah Bradley in his situation as compared to Captain America. Now, obviously, Captain America ran away with Bucky, and, Bucky did worse things. But to see that dynamic of, you're still bringing up the ghost of Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson, and he still has to beat that. I like that, and I think it makes him a better Captain America, But that also brings down some downside because we are now, 6 years removed from Chris Evans done being Steve Rogers. Yes, you can bring it up. Yes, you can mention it, but it's kind of time to, put that to the side, so it has its strengths and weaknesses at that point. Some parts I did not like about this movie, I will say, for the spoiler part. Number one, the ending feels very rushed. You can tell this movie had some reshoots because I feel like the start of the movie kind of didn't line up with the story, and I kind of feel like the end didn't line up with it. I do feel like the end was rushed with the Hulk. I mean, you promoted him that much, and he wasn't really in the. I mean, he was in the movie, but it's like the ending. It was like it just happened, it just like miraculously you promoted it, so you made it happen. The buildup of it was kind of cool, but the execution of it to me wasn't there. Another thing I will say is, again, like I said earlier in the spoiler one, it did kind of feel like a spinoff of the Hulk movie. It kind of felt like Sam Wilson was just a new character in a spinoff of a movie, if that makes sense. Sometimes he was outshined in certain scenes, or he didn't get the best dialogue, or it was kind of like a power struggle. The dude is Captain America. Like, yeah, you probably should have put a little bit more emphasis on him as opposed to President Ross and all these other characters. I feel like the emphasis and the point of the movie kind of shifted off from him, which is cool sometimes, but it kind of got repetitive, So I will say that was another problem I had with that movie, or with the movie. And my last point, to me, another part that I didn't like is, with Sam Wilson, you've seen in the Captain America Winter Soldier show, you've seen a lot more Sam Wilson, and you kind of seen the struggles of him trying to take the mantle of Captain America, and you kind of seen that in this movie towards the end. But having him, because he doesn't have the serum, and you see that he kind of struggles with that. That can't be your only struggle as a Captain America, in my opinion, right? Like, you're literally a human being taking on the mantle of Captain America. Just because you don't take the serum, that can't be your only struggle, right? It's like he keep battling back and forth with it. Eventually, are you going to take the serum or not? Like, that's been the key surrounding point of it. I'm glad Bucky did come in, though, and tell him, like, yo, you don't need to be a super soldier to be Captain America. I like that. But Sam Wilson shouldn't have to be told that. You know what I mean? Like, you've been Captain America for 5 years now. You shouldn't have to be told that you need a super serum to be Captain America. You shouldn't have to be told that. So, that was a cool message that Bucky, was the one that told him that. But it's like, you shouldn't have to be told that in year 5, whatever, of being Captain America. So, those are the parts I didn't like. But, another part I did like I said, with the casting and the characters in here, I think that Joe Quinn, I think his name is Joe Quinn, the new Falcon, I think he definitely excelled in his role. I don't like how quick he was thrust into the action. I kind of feel like even Sam Wilson took his time to be Falcon. It's kind of like Joe Quinn just jumped in there, so he ended up getting hurt. Like, yo, relax. You're Falcon, but you're not like Falcon. Like, I don't know how you go from fighting street level dudes to dodging missiles in an hour. Don't know, but his character arc was cool. You see him kind of developing and going with the flow. Giancarlo's character, excellent. You even seen in the post-credit scene that he knows something is coming, so I like that about that. But what I think that's gonna come from this movie into the future, number one, like I just said, the post-credit scene, Giancarlo talking about the worlds and people from different universes coming through. Obviously, in my opinion, that sets up Fantastic Four. Don't know how they're gonna do it. I'm not gonna sit up here and try to guess it, other than Fantastic Four world and the MCU collide, and we get the Fantastic Four and the MCU. Probably the easiest way to do it. Now, is the villain gonna come in from Fantastic Four to MCU? We don't know. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, speaking of that, is Sam Wilson said that he's going to build a new Avengers. Who is the new Avengers going to be? We don't know. Thor's out there technically, but besides Thor and Hawk, I believe we have Hawkeye, and that is it from the current Avengers team. And I'm talking about the basis 2012 team. So everybody else is new. We don't know. We don't have no season 2s of Moon Knight, of Hawkeye. We don't know where these characters at. We have no update on Shang-Chi. We have no updates on none of these characters. So we don't know who Sam Wilson is going to recruit. But for my opinion, in the MCU, they have to build these characters up before you have Sam Wilson go and recruit them. It does not make no, at least with the 2012 team, Nick Fury had these guys built up. Like, Thor had his movie, Captain America had his movie, he came back. Iron Man, I think, did 2 movies before the 2012 Avengers came out. These characters were built up, and then you seen Black Widow and Hawkeye kind of, in the shadows, and they eventually made, onto the big stage. But the new Avengers that Sam Wilson is talking about recruiting, don't know who you're gonna recruit. I don't know when this recruiting is gonna happen, but nobody has proven himself to be an Avenger. Like, let's be honest. If the Fantastic Four villain is really Galactus and he comes to Earth, we're cooked. We're cooked. Who do we have to defend it? So that's my one thing I will say about the movie, is that it does set up a new basis. It kind of feel like a fresh start for the MCU. It's more grounded, but for the future, this project did hint a lot out of the future. But it's like MCU, you got to build towards that, bro. You got to build towards that. I think Fantastic Four is gonna be a good starting point. But if Sam Wilson is really gonna recruit the new Avengers, let's kind of build on these Avengers. Another scene that I wanted to talk about is Bucky. Bucky and Sam were talking, and Bucky's now got a role in the government or something like that, which again is crazy considering what he's done in the past. I guess people change, but I don't know about that change. That's a little crazy. He done murdered people and assassinated kings and stuff. But anyways, he got a role in the government, and obviously that's gonna lead towards Thunderbolts. Now, Thunderbolts I do expect to be a good movie. It got a lot of good characters, a lot of good actors. But with the Thunderbolts, my question is, obviously Bucky is probably going to be the main, most the character that we're familiar with. Are they going to build on the other characters as much, or is this going to be kind of like a Bucky movie and other people, kind of surround him? You got those type of questions because, in my opinion, this movie, yes, this was a Captain America movie, but I feel like this is mainly a Thaddeus Ross movie sometimes built around Captain America. So I don't know. Hopefully the spotlight is on most of the Thunderbolts, but seeing that Bucky was there talking to Sam Wilson about the government role that he has, kind of tells me he's gonna be important in the Thunderbolts, but how important, how much light is he gonna take away from the other characters? So we don't know about that. No other projects to me were really advertised in this movie. Obviously we got an off-brand Black Widow. Maybe she's in the Avengers, but at that point, if she in the Avengers, it's trying to have that conversation like, yo, Earth is cooked. If I'm a civilian and I see, what's her name, Sabra. If I see Sabra, fighting aliens, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm not fit to be, alive at that point. So, obviously, again, the new Avengers that Sam Wilson's gonna have to recruit, they're gonna need some work. They're gonna need to be built up to be able to stop whatever force is coming, which we would assume is Dr. Doom. With Giancarlo's character said that the universes may collide, or some aliens or whatever is gonna come to this universe. I don't know how he knows that, but again, we got to build up the new Avengers for this. I think this is a good stepping stone for the MCU, this movie, but it still needs work. That's really the basis of this. The MCU still needs some work. I think this is a good stepping stone, but you got to build off of this. You have to build off of this. The Fantastic Four cannot save the MCU. I'm going to say that right now. It's going to bring money in. It's going to hopefully be a good movie. But the characters that you've built since COVID, it can't save those characters. I'm sorry. You can't throw Reed Richards in a Shang-Chi sequel. You know what I mean? Like, yo, it's not going to work like that. Like, you got to bring Shang-Chi back. You still got the Eternals out there. Don't know what you do with them. But this is a good stepping stone for the MCU, and hopefully, it goes upwards from here, because this movie was kind of, it wasn't the best movie, but by no means was this the worst movie, So again, hopefully this is a good stepping stone for the MCU. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, if I had to rate this movie, probably 6.5 out of 10. Wasn't the greatest movie, but wasn't the worst by any means. Hopefully this movie again builds towards a good MCU future, and it really starts with ending off 2025 good and building into 2026 with the new Avengers that they so-called talk about. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.